Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Morning Mayhem. It's your boy Chris coming at you. If it's your first time tuning in, thanks for joining us. If you're back and you've been a regular, I appreciate you for always tuning in and supporting the channel. I love you. I mean it. And of course, if you're back because you saw the Jimmy Kimmel video I posted earlier this week, well, I was expecting you. Stay tuned. First, I want to start off by saying that I do apologize again for being late with the State of the Union recap. There was just so much to go through, as you saw, and clearly I don't understand time, and I kept saying that it was going to be a short video. I was wrong. I did go through the hour and 18 minutes or so, I think it was, of footage, and cut it all down to about 30 minutes roughly. So hopefully this won't be a super long episode.
2 hours later.
I promise that won't happen again this week. Okay. All right. It did take a long time to do that video, and I apologize for getting it out so late again. There was a lot that went into it. This episode should be, this full show should be shorter than any of them, because I'm only covering a few topics. And the other night just took everything out of me, between doing the research for the State of the Union recap to make sure I had all my facts in order and had all the sources down below like I always do. And then that night too, if you watched it, you'll know my little girl was sick all night, and I mean all night. Nobody in this house got any sleep, so I'm still recovering from that too, because big boy has to sleep. But yeah, so we're going to be really quick this week. I promise. Hold me to it this time. All right, only going to cover a few topics is what we're covering today. We've got the election of 2024 update. Where are we at now? Spoiler alert, it is Biden versus Trump officially now. We've got the rise of the online film and television commentator, which is really cool. I'm excited to get to that portion of it. But first,
this is your life now. This is our election now.
I understand your frustration.
When it fits a woman.
What? That guy have a woof. Everything on TV sucks.
all right, so last week I covered my predictions for the Oscars, and especially with Jimmy Kimmel coming back to host. And, I didn't think anything major of it. My channel usually gets, every video I post gets a variety of different levels of views. I'm just kind of getting started again. So, double digits every now and then, which is exciting to see. But yeah, when I broke out the segments and I put the Jimmy Kimmel version out there, it blew up for me anyways. It's like a first hour of like a Timcast video maybe, but yeah, it blew up for me. I got over 1,000 views on it, so that was really cool to see. But what I didn't realize is that the Jimmy Kimmel audience was coming to my channel, and we're not the same. I don't think we have the same feeling on a lot of things. I don't think we align politically. I don't think we both agree on what the definition of comedy is or funny. But we'll get into that a little bit more. But they did come out and view the video, and quite a bit of them commented in the comment section. And that was, wow, that was eye-opening there. I will tell you that. But yeah, I had about 1,000 views, or over 1,000 views in the first 24 hours or so that video, the segmented video, went out. So yeah, 1,000 views. That's about a third of his normal audience, I guess. But a lot of them came into the comment sections, and they had to let me know, how great Jimmy was, how I'm a loser, how I'm jealous of Jimmy, how I want to work for the Trump campaign, and that it was dumb to take the time to put together a well thought out video with visuals and facts and context and everything in it. Bad mouthing, a comedian, quote unquote comedian, television host, late night host, whatever, that himself bad mouths half of his viewing audience, or what used to be, I guess, bad mouthing his audience. And, thank goodness those guys showed up when they did. Those hardworking keyboard warriors showed up in the comment section and so politely told me off about how much of a loser I was by being so sweet. You guys are the real heroes. So I want to thank you if you were watching this video, because I made it just for you. All right, so let's go ahead and look at a couple of things real quick. First article, this comes from Variety. 2024 Oscar ratings. Academy Awards audience rises slightly to 19.5 million viewers. Now, I had expected it might rise a little bit because it has been on an upward trajectory. We talked about that last week. but it didn't rise that much, and I really don't think it had to do with Jimmy Kimmel. Like I was saying last week, when Jimmy hosted 2 in a row, it significantly dropped from his first year hosting to his second year hosting. That probably had to do with Jimmy. But it's been on a steady rise since then, or not since then, since I think it was 2021 or so. So it's been on a steady rise. But this, I can't wait to throw it in the graph and see how it moved the needle some. It didn't move it that much as far as actual numbers goes. We'll get into that right here. The 96th Annual Academy Awards ceremony drew 19.5 million viewers on ABC Sunday night. Per the time zone adjusted fast national ratings, Sunday's telecast drew 19.5 million viewers and a 3.8 rating in the adults 18 to 49 demographic, airing from 7 to 10:29 p.m. Eastern Time. By comparison, the 2023 telecast drew 18.8 million viewers and a 4.0 rating in the final tallies. That means this year's show was up just shy of 4%, which, hey, good for you guys, in total viewers, but down 5% in the key demo. It should also be noted that this year's show started an hour earlier than it has in years past. So, they probably grabbed the senior crowd. Good for you guys. Still, the 2024 telecast was the most watched Oscars since 2020. Okay, so 2020 was what I was hinting to earlier, and marked the 3rd consecutive year of viewership growth. The 2021 telecast, which was heavily impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, drew an all-time low of 10.4 million viewers. It rebounded in 2022 with 16.6 million, followed by last year's 18.8. So it definitely didn't grow as much as it did from 21 to 20, or excuse me, from 22 to 23, but it still went up. So again, I'm a hater in some ways, but I go with the facts, and I'll give props and credit where they're due. So you guys went up in viewership. Good for you guys. I hate that you lost some of your demographic. Not really, but it is what it is. The Oscar ceremony saw Oppenheimer reign supreme, with the hit biopic taking home 7 awards, including Best Picture, Best Director for Christopher Nolan, and Best Actor for Cillian Murphy. Robert Downey Jr. also won Best Supporting Actor for his work in the film. Elsewhere during the night, Emma Stone won the 2nd Oscar of her career for Poor Things, while Da'Vine Joy Randolph won Best Supporting Actress for The Holdovers, which I've got to see this movie. I love so many of the people in this movie. Have you seen The Holdovers? Let me know in the comments below. I think I really want to go see this movie. All right. Both Martin Scorsese's Killer of the Flower Moon and Bradley Cooper's Maestro failed to pick up any awards, and Barbie was shut out of most categories in which it was nominated except for Best Original Song, What Was I Made For by Billie Eilish and Phineas O'Connell. Speaking of Barbie, Ryan Gosling brought the house down with his performance of I'm Just Ken. Gosling was nominated for Best Supporting Actor for playing Ken in the smash hit film, was joined on stage by an army of dancers that included fellow Ken's Simu Liu, and I can't remember that guy's name because he's not that special. These other people, as well as the other guy, and of course, legendary guitarist Slash, which I do care about. Slash is freaking awesome. Immediately following the Oscars, a special episode of Abbott Elementary scored new series highs in both live plus same day total viewers, and in the demo with 6.9 million, a 1.42 rating respectively. Who cares? We're talking about the Oscars. So that's a quick recap. If you didn't see it, here's a few highlights of your boy Jimmy.
Name, it's pronounced Killian when he does drama. When he does comedy, it's Cillian. And congratulations to Cillian's co-star, Robert Downey Jr., who is, this is the highest point of Robert Downey Jr.'s long and illustrious career. Well, one of the highest points. But Robert has been was that too on the nose, or was that a drug motion you made? But look at him. I mean, look at this guy. He's so handsome, so talented. He's won every award there is to win. Is that an acceptance speech in your pocket, or do you just have a very rectangular penis? What a story. The multi-talented Bradley Cooper is here with us tonight. He's got another Best Picture nominee with Maestro. Bradley, you brought your mom to the show tonight. Hi, Mrs. Cooper. How are you? You doing good? Great. Bradley brings his mother to every award show, right? She was dated last year at the Oscars. And not okay, but and the Tonys and the Soul Train Awards, etc. It's very sweet. But I guess the question is, how many times can one bring his mom as his date before he is actually dating his mom? Are you working on a movie about Freud right now and not telling us? Here's some fun Oscar trivia. Those were all the parts of Poor Things we're allowed to show on TV. I mean, really? For the first time ever, 3 foreign language films are up for Best Picture, and 2 of them star Sandra Huller, which is, Sandra, 2 movies. Sandra plays a woman on trial for murdering her husband in Anatomy of a Fall, and a Nazi housewife living next to Auschwitz in The Zone of Interest. And while these are very heavy subjects for American moviegoers, in Sandra's native Germany, they're called rom-coms.
Yeah, he's hilarious. How does he do it? Nothing more funny than reminding the world about a recovering addict's past. He's been clean and sober for years, and it's really exciting to pull that kind of stuff out, because that's the good material, right? That's the stuff comedy is really made of, right? Also, the globally impactful atrocities committed by someone's home country. Going after Emma Stone or calling her out for her racy scenes in the movie, making her feel uncomfortable, especially with her husband there, I'm sure. And then let's not forget calling out a grown man who brings his mother, the woman that gave him life, to this and other award ceremonies. Like, there's something wrong with that. I would love to take my mom to different shows and red carpets and whatever, or whoever wanted to go. My wife, my sister-in-law, my mom, my whoever, just there's nothing wrong with taking somebody you love, especially the woman that gave you life. But Jimmy has a different kind of sense of humor than I do. I like things to be funny. Let's keep reading on the night here. So this is from Daily Mail. Jimmy Kimmel Bombs at Oscars 2024. Host's joke about Robert Downey Jr.'s drug use leaves actor fuming. Emma Stone appears to call him a prick, and he scrambles for laughs with naked John Cena gag. Yeah, I didn't show that. That's been floating around too much, and I can't get the image out of my head. But I mean, I guess if I had that body, I probably would be naked more often as well. I'm too naked as it is now with this body. Anyways, Jimmy Kimmel roasted Robert Downey Jr.'s manhood and past drug use. He did have the cheesy joke about the acceptance speech. I thought that was lame. He roasted Robert Downey Jr.'s manhood and past drug use in his bombshell opening monologue at the 2024 Oscars on Sunday, while also appearing to upset actress Emma Stone. The host, 56, I don't understand why they always put ages in here, but whatever. The host, 56, returning for the 4th time, left the A-listers grinning and cringing in equal measure as he took to the stage. Downey Jr., 58, who won Best Supporting Actor for Oppenheimer, was stony-faced as Kimmel made a crass joke at the start of the ceremony, referring to the reformed coke addict's past addictions. And I'll say, Robert Downey Jr., if you know his story or if you ever look it up, it is wild, the things that he went through as a young man, from his family and peers and what he's overcome. So, props to him for that, because he's in an industry where that kind of stuff is celebrated. Good for him. Good for him. I know he'll never see this here, but good for him. Yep, there's seen him. So let's scroll down here. Emma Stone's reaction to Jimmy Kimmel's joke about Poor Things. Oh yeah. We saw that video already. Let's get on down here. Yeah, I think RDJ was really trying to give him a heads up, like, dude, you're going too far, move along. That's his past. Man, I mean, my heart breaks for that guy for all he's been through, but I'm so excited he's overcome it. Here's some comments that came in from folks about all that. Kimmel jokes about Robert Downey sucked. Jimmy Kimmel, Ryan Gosling is so hot. Also Jimmy Kimmel, Robert Downey Jr. used to do drugs. It's time for a new host. So all you Jimmy Kimmel fans out there, it's not just me. Just keep that in mind. It's not just me. Maybe you're the one that's off base. Maybe you're the one that's out of touch. Just food for thought. Jimmy Kimmel, awkward Robert Downey Jr. jokes. You know, you should know that. I was expecting him to pop up and do that randomly that night. Robert Downey Jr., if you want to Will Smith slap Jimmy Kimmel, I don't blame you. Kimmel, that was not it. Very much didn't like that segment, and I don't think Robert did either. Jimmy Kimmel talking about Robert Downey Jr.'s penis at the Oscars was truly awkward and not funny. We won't go through too many more of these. Kimmel, that was not funny. I mean, just take a look at Robert's face. He clearly didn't like it either. Making fun of drug issues of Robert Downey Jr. is actually pretty lame. I'm not surprised, though, because Jimmy Kimmel has always sucked. That's a pretty high note right there for Jimmy, and I mean high note for Jimmy, so I'll leave it on that one there. But, of course, you know, Jimmy is well known for having one of the worst cases of TDS, or Trump derangement syndrome, for those of you that are uninitiated. So pretty much the entire evening, I think, went off without anybody really mentioning politics or getting politically divisive. I know he opened the show and he mentioned Emma Stone's character being having the brain of a child, much like the Republican who gave the rebuttal to the State of the Union, which I have my qualms about that. I voiced it in that video if you've got time that you want to go watch it. But yeah, so I know he did that at the opening, but from my understanding, for the most part, I didn't really hear of anything or see anything that stood out politically divisive until the end. He had to, you know, he had to get that last dig in, and he had to try to reach in his bag of tricks, because he wasn't getting the laughs that he thought he should get, and laughs that I'm pretty sure ABC was expecting him to get. So what does he do? He digs in his old bags of tricks. He brings up Donald Trump and busts out this Goldie.
I just got a review, and has there ever been a worse host than Jimmy Kimmel at the Oscars? His opening was that of a less than average person trying too hard to be something which he is not and never can be. Get rid of Kimmel and perhaps replace him with another washed up but cheap ABC talent, George Slopanopoulos. He would make everybody on stage look bigger, stronger, and more glamorous. Blah, blah, blah. Make America great again. Okay, now, see if you can guess which former president just posted that on Truth. Anyone? No? Well, thank you, President Trump. Thank you for watching. I'm surprised you're still. Isn't it past your jail time?
You killed it, Jimmy. That was great. I don't know what was funnier, your delivery of Trump's truth. What is it called? It's not tweets. He's on Truth Social. Yeah, I don't know. Truth bomb. How about that? I don't know what was funnier, the way that you read it or the way he wrote it, because his write-up was pretty much the joke, and you were the punchline. But hey, shout out to you, buddy. You and your keyboard warriors that showed up and showed out last week, or earlier this week, I guess. And you know, read me my rights. You guys are the real heroes. You guys are making award shows great again. The comment section for this one is now open. Let's look at our next segment. Yeah, so although we pretty much all knew this was going to be happening, it's now official, apparently. So President Joe Biden against Vice President Donald Trump. They will be going head-to-head again in the face-off for presidency.
Round 2, fight.
So yeah, so this is only the seventh time that this has ever happened where the former president from the most recent presidency is in a rematch against the same person that they lost to in the last election. So this is pretty cool. So this is the seventh time that's ever happened. It's the first time it's happened since 1956. First time since 1956. So so pretty neat there. Let's check out this article here from NPR. Trump and Biden clinch 2024 presidential nominees. The general election rematch between former President Donald Trump and President Biden is now official. Both men have now secured the required delegates to be their respective parties' nominee. Biden and Trump won nearly every contest in the presidential nominating calendar so far, but the important threshold of winning a majority of delegates to the party conventions this summer has finally been met. Tuesday's contests included primaries in Georgia, a key swing state for both parties, as well as Washington and the state of Mississippi. Trump has been a de facto incumbent throughout the process, holding off several challengers throughout ceding a meaningful share of votes to former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley. I don't know what meaningful means in this sense. It doesn't seem super duper accurate on that one. Yeah, total Republican delegates. Trump's got 1,241 and Haley took a whole 94 of them. So, man, she just really destroyed him, didn't she? But I want to look at a couple things here real quick. This one, Mississippi results. You see here, Trump, of course, got his. Joe was uncontested on this one. And it doesn't show the number of votes. So I'm a little disappointed on that one. I guess because obviously he was uncontested, so there was nothing to vote, whatever. Donald Trump, 225,485 votes. For primaries, that's pretty significant right there, right? And then you go over here to Washington, and Washington, which is, for so many, years, it's a blue state. It's a blue state to have the big city, the major cities that they have are extremely, extremely blue, right? So I know this isn't Donald Trump against Joe Biden, but if we look at the votes right here, the votes here of the 484,000 against his 616,000, you see that Joe Biden's ahead. But if you take into account the additional votes from Haley or Ron or whoever here, you throw those together and you throw all these together down here in Joe, the lead either goes away or gets excessively smaller, exponentially smaller, I guess I should have said, than what we're looking at right here. So when the actual general election rolls around, it ought to be very, very interesting to see how well the two candidates do in this state. And then, of course, my home state of Georgia, Trump got 497,000 votes and Biden only got 275,477. And then when you tally it all together, the Republicans got more overall than the Democrats did. So again, I don't know if that's any kind of idea of what's to come, if it's if this is more accurate than, say, the polls are. I know Georgia is a divided state and it's very very highly regarded as a swing state, and we've been going blue lately, and it is the major Atlanta area. My hometown of Macon is pretty blue, I'd say. And then like Savannah and probably Columbus, because I think it's a college town. Those areas are the bigger areas, and those kind of lean toward blue. Pretty much everywhere else in the state's red. Like red. And then there's a couple areas that are a little on the purple side, but still ultimately end up going red. But if this is an indicator, every vote matters. As you see here, even in a primary, vote matters. I know people joke all the time about seeing these guys, on election day popping up on Facebook, like everybody's taking their pictures with their vote. Yeah, it's a big deal. There's a lot of countries that are envious of that because they don't get to do that. They don't have juries of their peers. They don't have elections like we have. There's a lot of freedoms that we have that a lot of people like to bitch and moan about, saying that we're, not the greatest nation, or there's plenty of other countries that do things better than us. We may not be perfect, and I'm not going to ever say that we are, but man, I think we got it right. I think we got it right on a lot of this stuff. So it's definitely important to vote. But I will say that they reached out to Biden to see what he thought about going against Trump again, and this is what he said.
What must be what?
Riveting. Hey guys, stay tuned to the channel. We're going to bring you more on this just explosive election year as we see Trump against Biden again. It's going to be very entertaining, as you know how Trump is. The media and all the late night hosts and everybody is working on behalf of Biden. So us little guys are out there trying to do what we can to bring honesty to the conversation. And of course, there is some bias in everybody, and my bias definitely leans toward Trump. So if you are interested in seeing the actual sources that are being used for numbers and documents and stats and all that good stuff, I'm a lot more transparent than NBC, ABC, CBS, and all those guys. And I will have my stuff down in the show notes below, in the comments, not the comments, the description down below. So you can go check those out and look up things on your own, and just make sure that I'm not cherry picking stuff like some of these other folks do. And hats off to Louder with Crowder, Steven Crowder, and the guys over there. They do the same thing, and that's where I got the idea from. Because I mean, I thought it was exceptional to see a large organization take the time to make sure all their sources were available, and it really sold me on those guys in watching them. So if you don't watch them already, I highly recommend it. In fact, anytime there's a State of the Union or election night or anything like that, I typically watch them. And they'll do a live stream, watch party kind of thing. They'll have fun with it, and they'll be streaming, you know, CNN or somebody else who's doing it. But the guys there are just, and the girls, I mean, guys, just in a generalization, they are on point. They are on their game. And, you know, they come with facts. Like as soon as somebody says something, Biden or Trump, they just come with the facts, fact check them right on the spot. It's awesome. I highly recommend those guys. But, yeah. Stay tuned, subscribe. That way you'll see when the next video is going out, because I will be talking about the election all throughout the year. Our next section, I'm also excited to talk about this one. This is going to be our last segment for today, because again,
I'm tired, boss.
This was really cool. Unlike seeing Jimmy Kimmel, there was something I saw come out from I'll call it the mainstream media, this past week that did fill my cold, dead heart with joy.
Well, the Barbenheimer beef dominated Hollywood all year, but last night's Oscars saw a knockout blow in the cinematic tussle of our age. Oppenheimer sweeping the ball, winning Best Director, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, and Best Picture, and others. Barbie, on the other hand, dying like a dog, winning only 1 gong from 8 nominations. The solitary win was Best Song for Billie Eilish's What Was I Made For, which you could have said about the movie itself, in my estimation. Unfortunately, Ryan Gosling, film's leading man, managed to show this wasn't even the best song in Barbie, with a barnstorming-like performance of I'm Just Ken. So did the dreaded patriarchy have the last laugh in this battle of the blockbusters? And is this the year that finally proves we've had enough, I like what they've done there, of woke Hollywood? Joining me to debate the biggest night in Hollywood is my Oscar super PAC, Esther Cracker and Ava Santina, and 2 titans of the YouTube movie community, the Critical Drinker and Nerdrotic. Well, we are honoured to have you 2 gentlemen. Thank you very much indeed. That's it for the Piersies. Thank you very much indeed. Great to have you guys on for the first time on Uncensored, Critical Drinker and Nerdrotic, 2 hugely popular guys on YouTube, and I can see why. Thank you very much. And to Ava and Esther, thank you both very much. And a final thought, really, that Barbie got what it deserved last night.
Absolutely.
The man had the last laugh.
So if you're unfamiliar with who those 2 guys were that were brought on to Piers Morgan's show there, that is Gary from Nerdrotic and the Critical Drinker from the Critical Drinker. These are 2, I don't want to call them YouTubers because they're on other platforms as well, but these are 2 online film reviewers, critics, commentators, and more. They have great shows. Again, they're on multiple platforms. I'm not just going to say YouTube, but they're out there and they are doing an honest man's work. They're out there really giving some great reviews on stuff and really impacting the way that people go out and view TV and films now, as critics have for decades, if not centuries. Yeah, let's see. This isn't me shilling for them either. I just want to say I'm a fan. I've been watching these guys for years. I was on the live stream when Critical Drinker hit 1 million subscribers. I thought that was super cool and very deserving. The 2 of them specifically, and there's others, and I'll mention them in a minute, but the 2 of them specifically, the script writing that they do for their shows is just phenomenal. It's so on point. It doesn't have all these uhs in there, and any of this flubbering that I do. They're so easy to listen to. In fact, both of them have great voices. People often ask, who do you want to narrate the story of your life, Morgan Freeman or Samuel L. Jackson? And I'm trying to decide between the Critical Drinker or Gary at Nerdrotic. Either one of them would be great. I'm kind of leaning toward Critical Drinker. It's the accent, dude. It's the accent. But no, this is a round of applause for members of the mainstream media realizing that that their platforms are shrinking and the online community is growing, and the commentators and the influencers that are out there. I know these guys probably don't want to be called influencers, but they are influencing people. That's where the audience is going. They're being outperformed by these guys on a regular basis. This is a nod to them for realizing that if they can't beat them, they should join them, or in this case, invite them on the show and get their commentary. While I am a huge fan of Nerdrotic and the Critical Drinker, they're not alone in this phenomenon. Geeks and Gamers hosted Zack Snyder. The Cordring has hosted Gina Carano. The Critical Drinker has hosted Russell Crowe. And there's been plenty of others too that I could probably just keep going on and on about, and some I don't even know about. But watching these guys and get the recognition they deserve and the access that they have now is just absolutely phenomenal. As they've grown their audience, their influence, there's one more group that should be listening with bated breath, and that's the film industry. These guys should be listening to what these commentators have to say, because they truly have their finger on the pulse. When you start hearing them talk about films that are going to be successful, TV shows that are going to be successful, and ones that aren't, and the biggest element to that is the why. Why is this movie or TV show going to be successful, or why is this TV show or movie going to be unsuccessful? And I think the film industry would benefit greatly by listening to them, because they do represent a gigantic portion of the audience. Let's look at this article real quick. This is it's called Made in Shoreditch, I think is how you say it. The Evolution of Film Criticism, YouTube's Role in Shaping Opinions. Now, this is back from last year, but this was a really good read, and I thought it was relevant to seeing the guys on Piers Morgan. You can engage in film criticism and I'm going to read pretty much the whole thing, so bear with me on this one because there's not a whole lot to this segment, so we've got time. You can engage in film criticism by analyzing and evaluating films and television shows in written form. Film criticisms include comprehensive plot recaps, performance critiques, assessments of visual and oral aesthetics, character analysis, as well as commentary on the political and cultural context of the film, which is a huge one right now. And these guys have their finger on the pulse of all this political and cultural stuff that's getting pushed. Various individuals, such as film scholars, movie critics, and culture and entertainment journalists, contribute their criticisms to a wide array of publications, including scholarly journals, magazines, free weeklies, daily newspapers, online platforms, and industry trade publications. YouTube has largely influenced the evolution of the film industry and film criticism. Although it is not the only information sharing service, it is the most visual, popular, and one of the most well known. We will explore the role of YouTube in the development of film criticism. Background. Before the rise of blogging, mainstream media's film criticism revolved around a single purpose: advising readers, viewers, or listeners on whether to watch a recently released film. Such reviews provided a brief summary of the film and quickly discussed its strengths and weaknesses, and often concluded or began with a star rating. A newspaper reviewer typically had around 600 words to cover a recent film, while a broadcast critic might have a 5-minute segment at the start of an hour. This format has remained largely unchanged since its inception in the early 20th century. Frankie Woods, who started reviewing the films for the New York Dramatic Mirror in 1908, is widely regarded as America's first film critic. As the film industry became popular in the 1930s, newspapers began allocating more resources to cover it. Within a few decades, most newspapers had their own film critics or syndicated columns dedicated to film reviews. A reader interested in watching a new film would grab a newspaper, read the review, and then check the showtimes on the same page. However, this doesn't imply that the film criticism lacked depth before the internet. In addition to scholarly journals publishing extensive treatises? That one. On film theory, some magazines dedicate significant space to articles about movies. Entertainment Weekly, established in 1990, was embraced by an entire generation of film enthusiasts and had millions of readers. critic Pauline Kael, writing for The New Yorker from 1968 to 1991, is widely respected for elevating film criticism as an art form. According to Roger Ebert, she had a profound positive impact on the film culture in America for over 3 decades. What is the role of YouTube in film criticism? In the early days of YouTube, film criticism on the platform often involved individuals staring at the camera and sharing their opinions on a film, occasionally interspersed with scenes from the movie. Chris Stuckman, a YouTuber with 1.1 million subscribers, is an example of this style of film critic. His reviews, which follow a plot summary plus opinion model, typically last less than 10 minutes. However, other more sophisticated formats have also emerged. In 2005, film editor Robert Downey created a fake trailer for Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, portraying the movie as a family comedy. As YouTube was founded the same year, the video went viral, leading to an explosion of recut movie trailers. However, the supercut, which splices together common tropes from a film or series of films, often prompts us to confront the cliches of filmmaking and explore the reasons behind their prevalence. Frankly speaking, there is one problem with YouTube: advertising. Film critics must continue to exist, but it interferes with viewing. Moreover, there are more and more advertisements. Do you want YouTube without ads? Just buy a premium, but that's not the only option. Some VPNs have YouTube ad block, which blocks any advertising, and not only on YouTube. With this tool, you can protect yourself from cyber attacks, watch YouTube TV freely outside the US, change your IP address, and even protect yourself from viruses. I feel like this is an ad placed in the middle of an article. YouTubers didn't invent the video essay. However, YouTube transformed it into a genre for mass consumption, an art form that gathered its own dedicated fandom. I can't exactly pinpoint where the evolution happened, but let me highlight some of the early practitioners who must have played a part in the transition. I won't go through all these. Jim Emerson, Matt Zoller Seitz, Tony Zhao. What is the purpose of film criticisms? Here we go. Film criticism serves various functions in an academic and commercial context. It informs you as a moviegoer about a film's content and perceived quality, helping you decide whether or not to buy tickets. Widely published criticisms reaches demographics within and beyond the film's intended audience. Film critics can become taste makers and establish themselves as cultural vanguards in the world of cinema. Additionally, film criticism creates a historical record of the film industry for future studies. So I'll stop right there and just say that's what these guys do. These guys, and there's others out there too, that go out here and just absolutely kill it. The folks I mentioned, have influenced thousands, if not millions, on what films, TVs, shows were worth our time. Time is a valuable thing. They've made their way into some of the groups within the inner circles of Hollywood and have started exposing some of the secret agendas that are out there, like we were talking about earlier, the political and social context of things. FilmThreat is another one that I would highly recommend, that are actually made up of film critics. That's what they do. They actually hosted an Oscars watch party the other night, and I watched that instead of the Oscars themselves, and it was great because they were joined by Gary from Nerdrotic and several other people, and it was a wonderful, wonderful show. And they are very entertaining and very, very knowledgeable in the world of film criticism and film reviews and commentating and all that. Again, I'm not a shill, I'm just a fan, and not only that, it would be incredibly negligent for me to not mention the impact that these guys are having right now in the world of art, really. Film, TV, comics is another one they're big on. Games is another one they're big on. I don't follow the game stuff that much, so they kind of lose me on that. But I know they know what they're talking about, so I lean heavily on trusting them. To these guys, look, I say keep it up. You're doing great work. You're doing an amazing job educating, influencing, and even motivating others to jump on the game as well. And then to everyone else, if you are not already watching these guys, you should at least check them out. I will have direct links to all of them down in the show notes, description, or whatever below, to every one of the platforms that I can find that they're on, be it YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, whatever. If I found them on there, I'll put their links on there and go straight to their channels. Go check them out, watch a couple episodes and see what you think. But, it ain't easy going against the grain. And these guys do it on a regular basis. They do it on a daily basis, but they do it to benefit us and not the machine. Again, guys, that's all I got for this week. I appreciate you sticking with me. I will cut these 3 segments up and release them throughout the week. Maybe I'll put something else out there for some filler until next Friday. We'll see. But as a reminder, we do cut up the segments and release them throughout the week as morning nuggets. We do have a regular show Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. If you've stayed with me this far and you liked what you saw, don't forget to hit that like button down there, or down there, I guess it is, wherever. Subscribe or follow, depending on whatever platform you're on. And if you want to share it with a friend, share it with a friend. That'd be great. But all that said, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week.
And what kind of jean get a fat dude wear anyway? What, Wrangler jean? Wrangler. I look like a big branded cow with 2 big W's on the back of my jean. I got those 2 big W's on the back of my jean, that little shit hole in the middle, make it spell wild. Hang me upside down and spell mom. Roll my big ass down the hill, spell woomba, woomba, woomba.